What is up, you guys? Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. I'm, as always, your grateful host, Cam Williamson. I'm trying to hurry because we have a lot to cover today, right? Bob Saget had a weird autopsy come out. Now, today, we find out members of his family are asking for certain parts of the autopsy not to be revealed. My take on this is going to go against kind of what I said in the Chesley Christ situation, but we'll get into that. Chet Hanks, the son, the now viral kind of sensation, Chet Hanks is the son of actor and, hero legend in the actor realm, Tom Hanks. He was the voice of Woody in Toy Story. I'm a 92 kid, so that's kind of my first introduction to him all the way through Forrest Gump. And, he's a legend. I don't have to tell you guys who Tom Hanks is. Rita Wilson, I think, is his mother. So he had two very famous actors as parents, and he came out and kind of told his story. I just saw Chet Hanks on a podcast that I listened to, The King and the Sting, where they brought him on as kind of this white rapper guy that was to be made fun of. And I feel like Chet Hanks kind of stood the line and tried hard to make himself, hey, this is really who I am. Sure, it's different than what you would expect Tom Hanks' son to be. He has another son who did the movie Orange County, and I forget his name. That's more what you would expect Tom Hanks' son to be. But today, Chet Hanks comes out in like a 12-minute rant just talking about, hey man, like growing up with celebrity parents, yeah, I'm grateful for the benefits that it brought me, but people also don't want to acknowledge the challenges that it comes with. Like, he was talking about some things that I could relate to, which is like when you grow up with super famous parents, which I didn't, but even just the small amount of attention that I've gotten on social media, when that started, the way Chet Hanks referred to it, I think, and the way I related to it, which is like you get invited into rooms with people that talk shit about you when you're not there. And sometimes for business reasons, it's best for you to be in those rooms, or maybe because of outside surroundings, whatever they may be, business or just other relationships, you end up in the same room with people. And it's like, man, fuck. Because people hate on you for shit that they don't even know about. Like, people think you're all this and you're not. They think you have this perfect life and you don't. Or they want something from you, so that's the only reason they hang around you. And it's hard to decipher, and it's hard to build genuine relationships with people. So also there is a thing now I don't agree with this necessarily, the term, but they call it like affluenza, where it's affluent kids of rich parents. They're committing suicide and having mental health challenges at a super alarming rate because they're doing the same thing that Chet Hanks is attempting to do in this situation, which is bring their mental health challenges to light and go, hey, I get it. Everyone thinks our life is perfect. We acknowledge that. It's great to have a lot of money. There's a lot of benefits in that. I went to a lot of parties and shit that y'all can't go to. I get that. Also, acknowledge people from the day I was born have acknowledged the fact that I do or don't look like my dad. Am I an actor? Am I not an actor? What am I doing? What do I look like? Who am I dating? All these crazy things that we also don't live with, they do live with. I'm not saying that, like, for Tom Hanks, you don't ask for that, because you do. You got into acting. I don't think it's ever appropriate to invade someone's privacy the way that paparazzi does to people, but like, you asked for attention and you got it. That same attention is what makes you what you are and gives you the life you have. That does not give people the right to attack his children and stuff like that. Now, his other child did go into acting. He was okay. He was fine. Whatever. His other son, Chet, kind of has hung out in the background. Nobody really knew about this guy until he came out on social media with I think it was like the White Boy Summer or whatever his shit was. And everyone's like, what? This is Tom Hanks' kid? He's like a tattooed, looks like a biker kind of guy. And he's making these crazy ass rap videos and shit. And you're like, okay, all right. He's kind of doing this virality thing, which is fine if that's what you want to do. You're trying to be relevant with the times. But I think if given the opportunity, this guy, I think it's safe to call him a kid. I think he's in like his mid-20s. He might be early 30s. He might be my age. This young man will figure it out. And I think he could actually use this now as a good thing if done correctly. And if people, like we were just talking about with the Kanye not bullying Pete Davidson thing, like if you just take a step back from this situation and you look at it for exactly what it is, you're like, okay, this is someone expressing their mental health. Let's not fuck this one up. Yeah? Why do we want to wait until we hear Chet Hanks commit suicide or, rides his bike off a cliff or something before we go, oh, another celebrity kid? Listen to him. And let it sink in. And if this is the first time ever in your life that you go, oh, I don't deal with those problems, I can't relate to them, but I can appreciate the fact that I don't understand. And let it be that. Don't turn this into a situation when people start clowning on Chet Hanks like, oh, look at this poser-ass wannabe doing all this shit. He's a man that lives in the 2022. He lives in 2022 using the tools he has, and he's gone viral. He's created characters, whether you agree with those characters or not, whatever. Do what you do. You don't have to fuck with it. I don't really fuck with it. But my point being, he's giving a new side of life. And if I'm not mistaken, right? Like Tom Hanks was one of the first celebrities that got the virus that we don't talk about on YouTube. And I think his son is pretty much like, fuck all that stuff when it comes to the mandates and whatever. So I think it's interesting. The polarity and the oppositeness of it, and I think that's why we're talking about it. I think that's why he's even being interviewed and able to tell his side of the story right now, but we're going to get into that when we talk about the Canadian truckers. First, I want to get into, now that we've covered the Chet Hanks thing, Bob Saget's autopsy. When it first came out, I think the original report was that he had died from a brain aneurysm, and his wife came out and had said something like, oh, he was always so silly, he hits his head all the time, whatever. So everyone's like, all right, we'll wait for the coroner's report. Most people, I think, were honestly waiting to find out whether he was coked up or drunk or something like that. Autopsy comes out, and it shows that he took severe trauma to the head with a fractured orbital bone. Doctor said the trauma to the back of the head had only been seen in severe car accidents and when someone falls from 20, 30 feet. So severe trauma. So this isn't something, you can't rule out that he was taking a shower and fell and cracked his dome. It happens. It definitely happens. Again, I have people personally in my life very, very close to me who have had episodes where they were having a medical issue, a medical emergency. They would go out, crack their heads, come back to try to kind of figure out what was going on, get to a place where they could stabilize, and in the process go back out. And in every time, they're cracking their heads on shit, hitting it, and on the way down when you finally hit the floor. So let's not be quick to start pointing fingers at people. I don't like how quickly the wife came out and was talking about, oh, he hits his head all the time. They were in totally different cities, so I'm not here to say she murdered or, Bob Saget or anything. I think there's something to this, right? Something had to have happened recently, whether it was maybe he was in a car accident, maybe he did get into an altercation, maybe there was something that happened, but the question that I'm not understanding, the coroner didn't mention, were there fresh cuts on his face? They were saying they don't suspect foul play, so you would assume there was no fresh cuts on his face, but then even still, you can't explain that amount of damage on someone. And it is 2022, so he was either just coming back from a show, he probably was at a restaurant, he was at a bar, he was somewhere where people could see him. There's hotel cameras, which I'm sure they're going to investigate all this, but it's a lot of trauma, man. And Saget, he was just kind of making a surgeon. No shit. I was just on a conference call the other day for this like new platform that they wanted me to join. That I guess Mark Cuban is starting, and Bob Saget was kind of him and Jay Leno and a few other comedians were like one of the first celebrities that were on the platform, and they were like promoting Bob Saget's use of this mindful based platform, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I was on the conference call the day they announced he died. And they even came on and was like, hey guys, kind of a trigger warning here. We put this whole presentation together before the news broke this morning, so sorry about that. So, I mean, he was kind of on this uprising. He was all over podcasts. He had just done Rogan like a year or so ago. He was doing kind of the circuit of podcasts. I don't know, man. Could it be something like a comedian being a comedian? And we all know Bob Saget wasn't a squeaky clean guy by any means. He was not the Jesse Tanner. Maybe there was gambling issues. Maybe there was just in general relationship that had issues. You don't take that type of trauma. Maybe there was just an accident. We don't know. But hopefully from this, we'll be able to at least find out. I think a lot of people use situations like this as an example of hope, right? Like, we would want someone to find out for us. If it was me, now I'm dead, I don't give a shit, but if it was me, I would want people to find out. Hey, man, help. Like, find out if this could have been prevented. Maybe help someone else with it. I think that's where a lot of people are with that. Again, his family's asking that parts of that be revealed. Maybe that's to protect his legacy. We don't know. Let's not assume the worst in people, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's get into this Canadian trucker protest, guys. I've left it alone because I try not to talk about super political things, especially if I don't understand them. I've tried to hear kind of what the narratives are on both sides of it. Now, I want to throw my bias out here, right? In high school, I deathly wished I was Canadian. I got really into like Canadian bands. I was into this Canadian Christian band called Hawk Nelson for a while. They were like my favorite band, to the point where I was like drawing Canadian flags on my arm, like planning out tattoos I was going to get and shit. I lied to my first manager, my first boss, and told him that I was from Canada just because I wanted to be. I've always been infatuated with how kind they are, their talents. So many creative talents, comedians, Jim Carrey. I mean, so many amazing comedians. Hockey. I grew up loving hockey. So, so anyway, I have a little bias. I love Canadians. So I'm not allowed in Canada. If you have a DUI within 7 years here in the States, it's really tough to get into Canada. But I want to go and visit Canada one day. So I listen, right? And I have dear loved ones that live in Canada that I love and appreciate, and I listen to their voice and their message, and I appreciate their take on things. And in this case, it appears that these truckers have started this protest because they want to end vaccine mandates in certain regions of Canada, right? Provinces, as they call them. And certain provinces are ending them because of this protest. Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, is a coward. I don't think any of us are in doubt about that at this point. Why he does what he does, I'm not even going to try to speculate on. I don't know. It's the same thing as trying to speculate as to why any of our presidents do what they do. We don't know. Also, we just shouldn't fucking care. We should just make sure that whatever the issue is, it fucking stops. So if these, vaccine mandates and whatever, if the general population is standing and they're making it loud enough where they're outweighing your voice, hey man, you're losing. Because what else is failing all across the world? These systems of government and the way that they've been run, because they've gotten away from true democracies. And social media and certain politicians who were not politicians exposed certain things about our lives, right? Regardless of whatever else they may have said or done. These times of Facebook and Trump and all this stuff, it exposes how manipulated we have been ever since the internet started. Now, it wasn't really since the internet started. It shows even how much the media did it before. Now, we believed that there was certain honor in journalism, in having an article in the newspaper every Sunday. That meant you were accredited and you should be trusted. But now we're asking, like, why? You look into these people now that we have the ability to go back and research them where we didn't have the ability then. You go, oh, maybe they weren't great people, or maybe they flip-flopped according to what people wanted to hear. And, everyone's flawed. That's what we're finding up when we're trying to dig into everyone's past 10 to 15 years later. So what I'm trying to say is the people that I tend to stand with are the ones looking at what the media, the mainstream media, is saying, which is like, these people are racists. Andrew Schultz called that shit quick. Called it like 4 years ago on Rogan. He said the way that they try to shut down what the agenda is of usually the bad, corrupt systems is they learned quickly with Brett Kavanaugh, right? That if you just call someone, label them a racist, a homophobe, a transphobic, whatever, if you just throw those labels on them, people will attack them, and then they can run a distraction somewhere else and really run the businesses that they want to handle. So I think in this situation, all these mandates and all this stuff, this is one last final cling at like how much control is the governments around the world actually about to give up. Are different governments willing to go to war with their own people? Because that's what it's about to come down to. And some of it may be blown up by the media, and that's what some, news outlets portray. Oh, there's not really that many people protesting it. But I can tell you, man, I think there is. I think that there is. I think people are sick and fucking tired of living in free places and watching freedom crumble around them. Because we're also seeing it, thanks to the internet, everywhere else. So I'm all for it. Do what the fuck you do. And flex your shit. These truckers are out here going, you can't do shit without us. So while, during the Trump administration, I think it was like blue collar workers were deplorables or whatever. These are people that have been waiting for their moment to go, oh yeah? Let me shut down the trucking system. You think your Amazon Prime is still going to get to where you want it to go without truckers? You think your Whole Foods is still getting its organic shit without truckers? It's not. You're not getting shit. Unless you can grow it. If you can grow it in your own little space, go ahead. Other than that, sweetheart, it's probably going to be driven in by some guy that you would never speak to because you would assume that he's on a lower scale in life than you. Thinking he doesn't know shit about nothing. Well, I'll tell you, those truckers have a lot of time on their hands, and they listen to shit like Rogan's podcast and books and stuff. I wouldn't write people off as quick. And again, I'm not saying at every protest and at every organization, whether it's planted by government officials or not, there's always some sort of provocateur that's out waving Nazi flags, doing shit just to get attention. That has nothing to do with anything. Again, just like with a lot of the Black Lives Matter rallies, I don't think a lot of the people causing the destruction and the chaos were really there to focus on Black Lives Matter rights and the actual cause. They were there to be a part of chaos. But again, people don't go to hockey games because we like to watch our favorite guy score. We want to watch them fight. It's cool when we win, but you go to hockey games for when they fucking fight. The reason that the NFL's tanking is because you're not even allowed to hit each other anymore. We like violence and shit. We like nitty gritty. We don't like it when it turns the other way. And it has in the biggest way, where now the blue-collar worker is standing up in Canada going, I'm not doing this shit anymore. Could you imagine if the truckers in the United States did the same shit? Could you fucking imagine? If they all just lined up around the perimeter and was like, nope, not driving. Nope, not moving. Now, I hear that some of these truckers are starting to get arrested. That's going to bring a whole different thing. I'll tell you, just from being in the legal system, you can make your point. You can make your point, and they may listen to it. Give me a second. I'm going to take a drink of coffee. You can make your point, and they may get that point. Once you feel your point has been made, it would behoove you to start to reassess and find a new way to play out your plan, because they're also working in the background to find loopholes to get you the fuck out of there to get business back to usual. To the best of their ability, right? They need shit to work, to move, to not cause mass. The more this goes on, the more awareness it spreads, the worse it is for them. So they want to shut the shit down immediately. Now, when you start arresting people, as global awareness starts to spread, more problems come, more investigations come, more eyes come to certain departments, and people don't want that shit either. There's a hard line being drawn in the sand right now, and this is spreading to a global level. So I'm not telling you which way to fall on it. I'm telling you, just shut our mouths, especially if you're not Canadian, right? Shut our mouths and just listen. Listen to both. Now, I don't hear many people bad-mouthing the truckers. I only hear the mainstream media doing that. I haven't heard one person that's like, these guys are fucking assholes and they need to... Even Canadians are like, no, do your shit, man. We're with you. Let's do this. I haven't found one. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I would love to hear that I'm wrong. But, again, I think that is even here in the States... Whether you're extreme liberal or extreme Republican, in the middle, just a fuckhead on YouTube, I think everyone is over the shit. I think everyone's pretty over the shit. And it's important that you make your voice known however you can. And with that, I love you guys so much. I hope you're having an amazing week. And today is what, Thursday? So we're almost there. Almost to Friday. Today it's supposed to rain for like the next freaking week. I'm going out of town this weekend to go see my daughter play basketball. Hopefully she can shoot better than her pops, because I suck. And yeah, hopefully I'll get some footage of that, me hanging out with the kiddo and the travels down there, because it's going to get interesting. Yeah, I love you guys. If you haven't, thumbs up this video, especially if you made it all the way to the end of this. Crazy me talking politics and Bob Saget hitting his head and Chet Hanks. Thumbs up. Subscribe for me. It really helps. Help me out. I have a goal to get to 5,000. I think I might have said 10,000. 10,000 by March. Help your boy out. Help me get there. And hit the bell if you want to see everything that I post, whether it be skateboarding vlogs, Road to Redemption podcasts, random podcasts I try with my buddies, or any other shit I come up with, like cooking videos. I'm rambling now. I love you guys. See you later.